Um, I'd like to thank you for joining us. My name's Anne Boucher. I'm the education coordinator for the Friends of Pheasant Branch Conservancy. And we've started putting our Conservancy days online, obviously, because of the pandemic. And this is my first attempt to stream it over YouTube or Facebook. And we were trying for Facebook. So we'll see what happens if maybe it'll kick in over there. Thanks for joining us. We do Conservancy Days, January through November, on the third Thursday of every month from 6:30 to 7:30, and we hope that we can find topics that the general public is interested in. Our next presentation will be the 15th or the 17th of November. It's the third Thursday, and it's called Mammoths to Muskets, and it's going to be a paleontological survey of what's going on of the land around Pheasant Branch Conservancy and the greater Madison area. So it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun, and we've already had a lot of people indicating interest in it. But I have to tell you also about the Friends of Pheasant Branch, and this is for the recordings benefit that we'll put out there for people. But please consider joining and becoming a friend, because that money supports our education programs and our restoration efforts and all the other things that we do. And we have a major campaign going on right now to raise money to make a platinum prairie in the newly purchased section of the Conservancy, which is just north of Fredericks Hill. It's called Seed the Need campaign, and you can go to our website to learn more about what a platinum prairie is and how you can help to build that. And Daphne found us. Great. Thank you. I apologize again for the technical difficulties. We're going to talk today about the green aspects of the schools here in the Middleton-Cross Plains Area School District. And we're very lucky to have Elaina Jones with us, who is a student who's been involved with activities directly through high school programs, but also she's running her own green initiative in the school district. And we also have Perry Hibner joining us. He is the communications director for the school district. So with all of that, I'm going to turn this over now to Elaina, and she is going to get us started.
All right, thank you so much, Anne. So I created a little presentation for everyone. I'm here on behalf of the students to provide a little bit of insight as to the student initiatives that have been happening in the district over the past year or so, and ones that are coming in 2020 and 2021. So lots of really exciting things happening among the students, and I'm excited to share them with you. So I'm going to try and share my screen now. We'll see how this goes. I've done it a couple of times before, but.
And if anybody has questions, just go ahead and put your questions in the comments section, and I'll keep track of them.
Yep, and feel free to interject between slides. That would be totally fine. I'm very willing to answer lots of questions if you guys have them. But yeah, thank you so much. So again, this is just the environmental initiatives that students at MHS have been a part of over the past year or so. Most of them are through the MHS Green Team. Some of them are individual student-led projects. So as far as last year, Green Team was established in 2019, and I'm the vice president of Green Team. Daphne Wu is the president, and so far we've been leading some really fantastic projects with other students within Green Team across the schools in our district. So a few of those projects consist of a plastic bag drive between advisories, a competition between classrooms to collect hundreds of plastic bags and donate them to Middleton Outreach Ministry and Target and other places where you can drop off plastic bags. There was a elementary school visit to Northside Elementary School where high schoolers, as you can see, actually don't know if you can see my mouse, but I'm kind of circling this picture to the right. And that's an example of students who are working on some projects that are led by high school students in Green Team. And that entire project was, or event was a very cool program for Northside. And we intended on doing more of them in 2020, but with COVID and everything, we had to cancel the events that we had planned, but and I'll cover more of this later, but we intend on doing more elementary school visits virtually this year, even with COVID precautions happening. So last year, we also participated in TerraCycle, as you can see in this top middle picture. TerraCycle is a program that recycles different household products such as EOS or Febreze or Little Bites, other products that generally would be thrown into the trash. They collect them and they're recycled. And so we set up those around the school, and that was a really cool project. Similarly, Color Cycle is a program that collects school supplies and then recycles them, like worn out dry erase markers or other things that are really similar. So those were set up in different classrooms, and we definitely intended on broadening that initiative to more classrooms and solidifying that project further, but we'll be working on that this year for sure. Lastly, we focused on maintenance of the garden, which is a pretty standard Green Team activity for many years, but that's always a really fun one. So as far as this year, this is the potential 2020-2021 agenda for Green Team. So we have been having a couple meetings so far, and we brainstormed different projects we're going to be pursuing. Like I said before, we're going to be trying to involving elementary school teachers in Zoom-based elementary school visits with or video-based elementary school visits with presentations from high school students. And we also are looking to continue the plastic bag drive that we had started last year to great success. The garden maintenance, of course, is always going to be happening since the garden is always in need of maintenance and everything. We were going to hold a lot of other events last year, including or be involved with a lot of other events, including the organic dinner and some other ones, but right now, at least, these are our potential ones. Going back up to the top, sorry, I'm kind of jumping through everything, but we're brainstorming ideas for Middleton Outreach Ministry food and can drive. And so this would involve collecting cans and food and everything from the community and distributing it out to families in need through Middleton Outreach Ministry, which is a very cool idea. Obviously, this is all still in development. Another project that we were considering is an online thrift shop that would be in partnership with Goodwill or St. Vinny's, another thrift store, or just another shop that has clothing donations. The target for this, the target problem for this initiative would be the issues with fast fashion, and that's another whole topic, but we're pretty excited about this idea, and hopefully we'll be able to bring it to fruition. So as far as the student initiatives, there are a couple of really cool ones that students have been pursuing outside of Green Team itself. So Anne mentioned that I'm leading a project outside of Green Team, and the project is the restoration of a prairie that is right beside Northside Elementary School. So this prairie was established back in the 1990s, I believe, and it's fallen to invasive species and lack of care over the past couple years. And so I've been working with different naturalists throughout the community, as well as different individuals within the school district, and partnering a little bit with Green Team as well to restore this prairie, and as well as the Middleton Fire Department. And so far, the prairie has been a very, very cool project. We're going to be bringing a lot of educational input from the students and incorporating an educational program for teachers to use in the spring for Northside Elementary School students. So we're very excited about this. We're also going to be pursuing plants from the Plant Dane program in the spring to replant and revitalize the prairie after a spring burn. So in totality, the restoration project is very cool, and it's been coming along very well over the summer. There's another student who's pursuing a bumblebee program where she constructs bumblebee, as you can see in this bottom right picture, different bumblebee, I actually don't know what they're called. She was describing them to me, but sounds like a really cool program she's partnering with the zoo for. So this one is not involved with Green Team yet, but it's a very cool program that's environmentally related. There has been some local activism among students, both outside of Green Team and within Green Team with different, especially, well, primarily before the coronavirus, of course, last spring. But there's been some very great activism efforts that have happened, either involving activism for the environment through the City of Madison or other youth climate action teams. So that is also something to consider or take note of, is the amount of activism happening among students. And then finally, the last project that I have to discuss with everyone is the MCPASD resolution that some students have been heading, and it's a very promising project that is directed towards the MCPASD district. And so if you guys are interested in learning more about the resolution itself, it's targeted towards bringing more sustainability to MCPASD and sustainability through energy efficiency, waste management and reduction, and overall education of the district itself. And so if you want to learn more, please go to the website. Let me pull it up here, but there's also, the website is 100renewmcpasd.org. We're also, or the student committee for the resolution is striving to gather 2,000 signatures by the end of the year on a petition or a pledge. And so if you want to go sign the pledge or the resolution itself or learn more about it, then please go to the website and offer some support. So that is the end of my presentation. Thank you guys so much. Does anyone have any immediate questions? Or if not, then thank you for listening.
No immediate questions, I guess.
I'll actually ask one, Elaina. So is the Green Team also involved with Forward Garden at all out at Pope Farm? Because I thought I'd heard that you were working with them a little bit on a grant application. Is that true?
Is Forward Guard? I couldn't quite hear.
Forward Garden. They're a group that works that's planting, doing some planting out by the new Pope Farm Elementary School. I didn't know if the Green Team was involved with that at all or not. So.
I actually don't know. Daphne's here though. She can probably answer that question.
I know I wasn't really supposed to talk, but since I'm here, I was actually just volunteering there just an hour ago. So that's kind of funny coincidence. But yes, Green Team, we try to get a lot of volunteers from Green Team for the Forward Garden. Forward Garden is a community garden that's right next to the new Pope Farm Elementary School. And they do a lot of they plant a lot of vegetables and harvest them. We just harvested all the peppers, and they donate those to over 15 food pantries across Wisconsin, which is super cool. So yeah, and Green Team was trying to help as much as we could for that.
Yeah,
and I do believe a grant application has been submitted with the Education Foundation to help with that effort. So yep.
Okay, cool.
That's great.
Yeah, thank you guys so much.
I have a question if we have time.
Yes, we have time.
Okay, thank you. I'm Lisa Hanairo and I live in Middleton. I'm the chair of the Sustainability Committee for the city. And I think it's great what the students are doing. It's wonderful. I wish we had stuff like this when I was young and in high school. And I love the idea that you are partnering with Middleton Outreach Ministry. I volunteer there as well. And I would say, in addition to the food drive, you know, every year, COVID permitting, we'll see if it happens next year, but Mom does an event called Construction. And I know Middleton High School youth sometimes will have a team where they get together, they gather a lot of cans and build a structure. It's a community-wide activity and event, and they usually do it out at the mall. And it's one of the biggest fundraisers and food drives for Mom. And so I think if there's a way to combine that activity with also, you know, having a team sponsoring a team to build, I think that would call a lot of attention to some of the green efforts. And I'll also mention that Mom does have a clothing center. So if you're looking for other partners beyond Goodwill for your online thrift store, we might have a partner at Mom as well. And then my question was going to be on the local activism. Again, I think that's great. Is there any effort to encourage those students who are coming of age to get involved in voting, exercise their right to vote, especially on climate issues?
Through Green Team, there hasn't been efforts to bring more voters among kids who are of voting age, through Green Team at least. I know there have been a lot of efforts outside of Green Team at least to bring more voting just through the school itself and just through different social media platforms and everything. So there's definitely a lot of efforts, just not through Green Team in particular though.
I would say, Lisa, that in 18, when we actually were in the buildings with students, there was a pretty robust effort. Jack Eggert, who was a senior at the time at MHS, led an effort by the student council to get seniors registered and voting. It's been a little harder, obviously, with us being virtual this year. So,
yeah, well, on the note of the amount of students doing different projects, we are very lucky to be living in such a supportive community full of individuals and environmental leaders who are so supportive of us. So, I mean, right back at you, honestly. So thank you for all the efforts that you guys have done, because it's really permitted us to become successful in lots of different projects that we've been interested in. So thank you.
I have a quick question, Elaina, for you. Deb Weitzel here. And that is with your garage sale that you're having with the different community partners. Are you having the students bring in clothing that they don't want anymore as well as is it a clothing drive as well as a sale or not?
We're not having a garage sale. We're having, or at least these are the projects that we're anticipating pursuing for this year for Green Team. So these haven't been established yet, but these are kind of in the works so far. We're brainstorming these currently. So what you might have been referring to was the can or food drive in partnership with Mom, or an online thrift store, which could be in partnership.
Thrift store. Yes, the online thrift store. That's said it wrong. But that's what I'm talking about. Are the students going to be contributing clothing from their families or whatever to this effort?
Well, again, this is still definitely just in the brainstorm process, but what we were anticipating is reaching out to either the broader community or just within the school, but not just the families in Green Team. Green Team would more be, I guess, play more the role of the leadership team for this thrift shop project, to reach out to the broader community, and whether that be within the broader community outside of the school or just within MHS or the district, to gather participants to donate clothing. And then we were thinking a clothing swap. There's lots of ideas that Green Team is developing right now, actually, but yeah, it's a great question.
I have a question from Facebook, the person is wondering what the Green Team is doing to build capacity to recruit freshmen and sophomores so that the work you're doing is carried forward when upper class people graduate. And Elaina, I don't know if you want to answer that or pass it off to Daphne. I don't know how you guys split work in the team.
Sure, yeah. Well, Daphne can definitely add whatever she wants. There's right now, currently, the Green Team, how we've been building out our membership base is just through word of mouth. So we've been really trying to reach out to as many kids as possible. We recruited a lot of students this year who are sophomores and are trying to reach freshmen as well. So, but primarily our route of communication is either through Instagram, GroupMe, and just word of mouth, really. So students telling other students about Green Team, getting more students involved. So we've been really successful with building out. There's about low 30s members right now of Green Team who regularly attend the meetings. And so we've been pretty successful with trying to build out a base of at least sophomores, in addition to the original juniors who started Green Team. So.
Great. And then I'm going to give you one more question, and then we're going to hand it off to Perry because we're way behind. Somebody is wondering, can members of the community donate time and or funds to the work of the Green Team? If so, how and where?
Well, this will be dependent on the projects that we choose to pursue this year. So far last year we were anticipating having some fundraisers where, like the organic dinner, for example, where people could attend and therefore would be supporting Green Team. This year it's a little more complicated, so that's kind of a work in progress answer, honestly. We thank you for the support, by the way, and offering to reach out and help. Daphne, do you have anything to add to that? All right, cool. Well, yeah, that's about it, I guess. So it's really the answer to that is it's kind of a work in progress. So as far as supporting other initiatives that are beyond Green Team, you can definitely check out the resolution website, and signing the petition would be fantastic. If you want, I can repeat, or the
link to it is both in the Zoom chat here, and it's also on Facebook. So people, I think, can find that. And I can make a note of it and a follow-up to our broadcast.
If there's, as far as the supporting the Prairie initiative that I'm leading, we're for funding and everything, we're applying to get plants from Plant Dane, and so that will hopefully cover all the plants that we need. But if there is additional funding, then there might be a capacity to help through that program. And if you're interested in learning more about the Prairie, then you can reach out to me somehow. I don't know, or my email or something, but there's, and as other student projects emerge too, there might be more opportunities to support Green Team and the students.
Okay, thank you. Great job.
Thanks so much, yeah.
So Perry, can you follow that?
I'll do my best. It won't be easy. So first of all, let me just say, Elaina and I have had an opportunity to work together a little bit over the last couple of months, because she and another MHS junior are working to start a next chapter academic tutoring program, which would be to help our students in need in the city of Middleton, our elementary students. So I can't say that I'm surprised by how much she's doing with the Green Team, because I see how much she's doing with NCAT. And Daphne has reached out to me many times as well to talk about the Green Team's efforts. So I think, again, it speaks to the passion, the dedication, the student voice efforts that we try to implement it in the district, and both of them are to be commended. So I wanted to start with that. The second thing is I wanted to say to Lisa, Lisa, maybe we can connect offline and talk a little bit about how we might be able to get some more of our students involved with Construction this year, assuming that there's an event in April at the mall, or I know it used to be at Kiva. Because again, we've had Glacier Creek, we've had the Youth Center from Cromery, we've had some of the high school clubs, and we've had Clark Street, I believe, have at times participated in that. I'm wondering if we could have a more cohesive plan going forward. I'm thinking particularly considering we're up to nearly 70 clubs at the high school. And Ben White is, in addition to being the associate athletic director, is also the activities coordinator and coordinates all those clubs, that maybe we can make it a little bit of a competition among some of the clubs to get more participation that way. So yeah, so let's connect. So the first thing, Ann, I wanted to say is thanks everybody for having me here tonight. I want to first of all also thank the Friends of Pheasant Branch Conservancy for the partnership we've had together between the group and the organization and the district over the years. I mean, the reality is, I was hoping he would be on, but John Daly has been a huge asset to the community in terms of a lot of the work that he's done, the intergenerational grants that the Friends have received, and worked with Sauk Trail and Northside in some projects, some art projects there. Deb has always played an important role with the photo contest and the photos that go into the calendar every year for you, that acts as a fundraiser for you and that our students benefit from. We certainly value this partnership and look forward to continuing and strengthening in the years to come. So, and I'm going to share my screen now and do a presentation. It won't be as good as Elaina's, but I'll do it anyway. So anyway.
Okay.
All right, can everybody see that first slide there? Okay, because I've got a different, my interface is a little different. So what I thought I would do, and I will say, first of all, I feel like I should have let Deb do this presentation because she worked for the district for so long and in so many roles, whether first of all at the high school and then helping us with the Green Ribbon Awards, that she's going to know this better than I am anyway. So I oftentimes get asked to do this, but there are people who are far more knowledgeable than I am. So Deb, when I get questions tonight, I'm just going to turn them over to you. Okay, how does that sound? You're on mute, but as long as you.
Not about the pulp farm.
So as everybody I think here knows, we passed the referendum in 2018, and so the newest school to open is Polk Farm, and I was out there today. And so again, for our purposes in tonight's presentation, certainly we're excited about the fact that we had a capacity at the elementary level, that we in fact built our new school, because I'm not going to count the 12 referendums building the new school, our first new school since 1996. But what I'm really excited about is this is the second school now that we have a geothermal well system. And unlike when we put one in Cromery, where it's there, but no one sees it because it's not kind of outward facing, if you will. When you're able to come into the school, and I am happy to give tours to anybody who wants to go there, and you go past the common area where the cafeteria is and the students' stairwell that's been put in, the geothermal is just on your left next to the third grade collaboration spaces. And again, we're really excited about this. I know, for example, when we were doing the referendum in 12 with Cromery and we said we wanted to put geothermal in there were community members who said, yeah, but it's expensive. Why would you do that? Well, first of all, again, we think of ourselves as being a green community that, again, puts the environment first. And if this was going to be a 10-year building, it wouldn't make sense. But the reality is that this will pay for itself over 20 years. And I can assure you that Polk Farm is going to be there a lot longer than 20 years. So same thing with Cromery. You know, these are 100-year buildings. They're not 50-year buildings or 20-year buildings. So I reached out also to Tanner Davis, who was the project manager on the Polk Farm project with Findorf, and a couple other things that, you know, he thought I should stress tonight is, you know, again, if you're able to drive out there and take a look, that, and again, you can see that there's a lot of plantings throughout that tries to take advantage of the Conservancy, because we're right next to it. And then not only the Polk Farm project, but when I get to the high school one, which we're still in the middle of phase 1, they all are going to have daylight sensing, LED light fixtures, stormwater management that includes rain gardens. So again, these are some of the things that we're trying to do with every new project that we do. And I don't know when the next new project will be, but as a growing district, there will be another one, and we all know that. So, and then you may have seen this if you've seen me do other presentations on the high school. You've seen these renderings, but again, these were put together last August. So again, obviously there's work that's been done since late March, but this would be on Bristol Street in the southeast corner, where the parking lot is now, that small parking lot. As you're aware, the school's being built to the north, and eventually we're going to be taking down many parts of the southern section of the building, which date back, and Deb, you may know this, but like your science classrooms date back to 1929, some of those areas do. So there were 9 additions put on Middleton High School over the years, and we just felt like a 10th edition didn't make sense. It was time to do something new. So that's one spot. This is, again, from the northwest corner, sort of by Clark Street, if you will. And this is what it's going to look like on the northern end by the time we're completed. So before I show the next slide, I will point out that, again, phase 1 construction is on schedule, not ahead of schedule. So in some senses, we have benefited from not having students in the buildings, because we've been able to do some things that probably would have slowed down with 2,000 students there. But we anticipate being done with the first phase, which is all this part right here, by early August of 2021. And phase 2 is predominantly demolition of the older building, but there are some things that will happen in the southern part as well. So these are a couple of the latest photos of the work that's being done. Because I mean, I'm pretty amazed by with what they've been able to do in 6 months. So the photo on the left is where the cafeteria will be. And again, you can see a lot of natural lighting, which again, all of our newer buildings have that. If I have one frustration, it's that our older buildings do not have as much natural lighting as what we've been able to put in since the construction of 12. And on the right is a photo of what the concourse vestibule is going to look like. So again, you're going to see a lot of windows in this new facility. So couple of things about there, the unique features. We did not do geothermal there. We looked into it. The upfront costs were too high. Now, in addition, some people might ask, because we have solar panels on there right now. We're not adding more solar panels, but again, you may be aware that we did sign an agreement with MG&E for the solar arrays that are now completed out at Middleton Airport, Maury Field. And so we will be accessing that there, in addition to 8 of the remaining 10 schools. Only Park and Glacier Creek, because they're in the Village of Cross Plains, will not be able to utilize that. And then again, just like I mentioned with Pope Farm, the same thing is going to happen in terms of those pieces at the bottom there with the high school when we're completely done with the project, which will be for the start of the 22-23 school year. So unfortunately for Elaina and Daphne, they will have graduated by the time the project's completed. But again, my youngest son was in 8th grade when Cromery was finishing up, and he always said, "Dad, could you hold me back a year so I could be in the new building?" And I'm like, "Heck no, but I'll give you a tour whenever you want." So Elaina, if you ever want a tour, Daphne, if you ever want a tour, I'll give you one. So I mentioned the solar array. And I will say, if the group wants, there's a 1-minute video on the MG&E YouTube page that I could show that Dana's quoted in there and some other things. I can do that after we get done with this slide. I've got it on my desktop here. So you're on mute too, Ann.
There, unmute technology. I'm still learning. We do have a question about back to Maury Field, and then I think if people are amenable, it'd be great to see that little video. But what percentage of, how much energy is coming from Maury Field? What percentage of the school's needs are coming from the solar panels?
So I don't know that I know the answer on the percentage, but the first bullet point on this slide here answers and how much we're going to save as a result of that. So the first year was about 30,000, I think is what I heard will happen this first year. But over the course of 30 years, we'll be looking at more than $1 million in savings. But I put an asterisk next to that, and that's because it's relative. And what I mean by that is it could be more. If gas and oil prices go up, we're going to save more because we're not going to have that same cost. If for some reason, and I wouldn't anticipate they would go down, it would be less. But when we signed the contract with MG&E, it was with the idea that based on the current prices of those items, it would be $1 million in savings. And I think the other thing is some people always, and again, I know this group doesn't think this way, but there are people who think, oh, green efforts have to be expensive. They must be expensive. Well, this project didn't cost us anything. MG&E wanted to get into the city of Middleton and have more people using solar power. In fact, when I walk through North Lake where I live, there's at least a dozen households that have the yard signs that say that they've purchased power from the solar array. So again, I'm sure they want more. MG&E would like that, but again, there are people already taking advantage of it. So. And this was a slide I did when I presented at Get Moving Middleton this fall, in the spring. The years get mixed up after 10 years with the district. So the photo on the left is when we did the groundbreaking ceremony at Maury Airport, and the photo on the right is the superintendent when she was at why am I drawing a blank here? Monona Terrace when we received the Renew Wisconsin Award. So. Again, we're pretty proud of that. Again, we receive a lot of awards. Deb's played a big role in a lot of those, and I'll point out some of them in a second. But again, it's all because of not just the work we do, but the work we do in conjunction with our partners. So let me minimize this, Ann, and then I will bring up the video.
Is there sound?
So not bad for a 1-minute video, I thought. So, and Elaina, you were probably excited to hear that the goal is net zero by 2050. I don't know if that's quite what you had in the resolution, but I think it's in that ballpark in terms of the time frame. So, oops, I think I must have the next video going. Let me turn it off. Sorry about that, everybody. I'm not great with technology either.
Yeah, it didn't stream very well. We didn't get the sound. So maybe we can work a way out that.
And what I will do is I will share that in the chat when I'm done, before we all get done, in case people want to grab it that way. I'll also put it on your Facebook page, on the Friends Facebook page.
Great.
So if you want to watch it, both those spots, if that sounds okay. It sounded great on my end. I got to tell you that. Sorry about that. So.
Thank you.
Yep. So Deb knows all this. Deb, would you like to take this slide?
No.
I'm kidding. So, but you do know this because you were instrumental in writing some of these. I know you were. So we're pretty proud of the fact that since the Green Ribbon Award started in 2012, we have won more awards than any district in the state of Wisconsin. And I haven't looked nationally, but we've got to be right up there as well. And I think I'm right on this one. I think we have another one ready to go for Northside, but that we were asked not to submit it. Deb, does that sound right to you? Because I think you were still working on them at the time.
Yeah, but I was working on that, I don't know, several years ago. And I don't know what's currently going on.
Yeah, I think at the time, though, we were told by the state agency, look, Middleton-Cross Plains has won this a lot. We would like to see some other districts involved. But again, you know, it's like I say whenever awards come out, because we get our fair share. You know, again, these are total efforts. We certainly want to acknowledge them because, again, I think it means we're doing important work, but it doesn't mean all the work's done. You know, there are schools that aren't on here. What the Green Ribbon Award is there's a bunch of different categories you have to hit. Again, Deb would be able to answer better than I can in terms of what areas we did really well, what areas you have that they're looking for. Ann, did you see there's a question maybe?
Yeah, could you please switch your screen back to your slides so that we can see the list of schools that you're talking about?
You're not able to see that right now?
No, right now we're still looking at the solar
Video.
Oh. Now can you see it?
No, now we see you.
You see,
That was all of us.
That's a real loss. All right, hold on.
Here we go.
All right.
Okay, thanks, Perry. Sorry to interrupt you.
You don't have to apologize at all. That's on me. So again, the screen was looking good to me, just like before the video was going just fine. So, all right. So again, these are the schools that have won Green Ribbon Awards for us, along with the district in 2015. As I was noting before, Northside, we've begun an application for them. But again, the folks at the state level had sort of asked us not to submit anymore because they wanted to see some other districts win these things. But again, we're very proud of this. We're very proud of these efforts. So, and then I'll end with and this is not an exhaustive list, but these are some of the things that I thought were of note that have happened in the last few years in the district. And they're not in any order, and I probably should have done a better job of maybe going from backwards to the present. But I'll highlight on this first one, the second item, which again, the Energy Star program. All of our schools have received it multiple times. Many years we've had it, and I'll say 10 because Pope Farm wasn't in operation there. Many years we've had 10 schools honored at the same time. And again, I think other than Oconomowoc and one other district, there are not many in the state who even though a lot participate, who have had that kind of success with it. And then the one I'll highlight on this one is the third bullet point, which is that, again, Neil Bickler, who since retired as our energy manager, but he really pushed staff to get involved in an energy savings program. And it's everything from making sure that we lower the temperature in our buildings during breaks to making sure the lights aren't on all the time. But that as a result, we have had $4 million, and I should say cost avoidance. It's not like we've got the money back, but it's money that we've saved that we've been able to then use elsewhere. So, and then the last one just happened a couple of weeks ago. And since the girls were talking about the school gardens at Elm Lawn, we had that one recently named a Monarch Way Station, which is pretty cool. So again, I'm sure there are things I did not mention I probably could have, but the thing I will say, I just want to get everybody up on here so I can see them. The thing I will say is I think we do a pretty amazing job, even though we don't necessarily, and this sounds like a criticism, and it is partly. I don't think we have as much of I think we don't have a comprehensive 11 building plan for sustainability at times. I feel like it sort of depends on who the person is in a building and if they really lead the charge. So when Deb was at Middleton High School, she played a big role in all the efforts that were there, and I think Leah has done that since then. Amy Callies, who was at Park, has played a big role in, like, for example, the forest efforts out at Park. And it makes me sad to say that Amy's retiring at the end of the school year. But she just told us that this week. Yep. But again, she played a phenomenal role out there. And so it sort of depends, again, just like with students, you have some students like Elaina and Daphne who really, take the ball and run with it. We have staff members who are the same way. If I have one wish, it's that we work and with community partners as well to try to figure out how we might be able to come up with more of a comprehensive plan for how we can do these things going forward. And I will tell this group that I am retiring at the end of the year as well. So it will fall on somebody else besides me. But it's been my pleasure the last decade to have these presentations, to talk about the work of the district. And now, Ann, if there's other questions, whether from the people on the Zoom chat or on Facebook Live, I'll do my best to answer them, or I'll just make Deb do it. So,
Mr. Hibner, thank you so much for your presentation, and especially with the last thing you said about how we need our school district. It's really important that we need a comprehensive plan for sustainability, an official plan for sustainability, instead of just an informal group of students and staff trying to make the district more sustainable. We need a solid plan, and I think that the resolution would really accomplish that. That's why the students and staff are working really, really hard to try and get a resolution passed in our district. It's because we know we need our district to have a solid plan. And by outlining specific goals, 20% waste reduction by 2025 or something like that, it would really make it official and have the district be accountable for something, for sustainability actions. So that's just what I wanted to mention. So thank you.
Thank you, Daphne.
Yeah, if I could ask a question, I of course second what Daphne just said. I think the resolution would be a great way to, or a great springboard to a comprehensive plan like you were talking about. And second, congratulations on your pending retirements. I know you got a long way until the end of the school year, but
258 days, but who's counting? So.
Who's counting, right? So my question was, you mentioned cost avoidance. Does the district track the carbon emissions avoided? Because I know that, of course, reducing costs is really important, but a lot of people, especially students and the younger generations, I'm sure would be interested in knowing about the emissions avoided from doing some of these things like purchasing the solar.
So Lisa, my guess is yes, but I do not know that answer. And part of the challenge has been ever since Neil, who, as I mentioned, Neil Bickler retired. I remember when he would do presentations once a year in the fall of the school board, he would talk about that. So I'm sure that we have been. I just don't know who's doing that now. And I don't want to say it's slipping and falling through the cracks because, if we're still focused on cost avoidance, so I would assume we're focused on carbon emissions as well and reducing that footprint. But I'll have to find out when we check on construction, I'll see who I can find out from the district and see if I can get you that information. So.
Okay, that would be great. And, in terms of partnerships, I mean, you've got a partner already in the sustainability committee. We recognize that Middleton as a city can't achieve its goals for clean energy without the school district being a partner on that. So let's figure out ways before you retire, Perry. Let's figure out ways to coordinate more closely on our shared goals.
So let me, and this does tie and it doesn't, Lisa, so and everybody, but so one of the things I was just talking about today with somebody in a different field, but who's helped us with the referendums, is that and it sounds like a criticism, and it probably is, but there's a tendency for organizations, I think, to operate in silos. And I know as a district, we're sometimes guilty of that. I think sometimes the city's guilty of that. I think the other municipalities are sometimes guilty of that. And so I think, again, it behooves us to stop being in our silos and to get together and say, what's our long-term plan? How are we going to get there? What are we going to prioritize? And that can be true not only from a sustainability standpoint, but even from a financial standpoint, because again, as the city's looking at projects, and I know what projects they've got out on the horizon, we should all be looking and saying what needs to be done so we're not surprising our taxpayers. And so if they understand this is coming now, this is coming later, this is coming even further down the road. So again, having a plan like that, and we can always adjust plans. I mean, we're gonna whatever referendum we're gonna do, it's probably been pushed back a couple of years because of this year with our numbers being down with COVID and some families deciding to move to parochial school. That's okay, but we shouldn't do it alone. We need to do it with the city as well and with the other municipalities. So.
We have a comment and a question on Facebook back to talking about sustainability in the school district. And one is that one of the commenters said that it wanted you to know that Eau Claire School District adopted a sustainability resolution. So Daphne, if you haven't looked into that one, you might want to see how they did that and what their resolution is. And then the question is, have you considered, this is to the school district, to Perry, have you considered integrating questions about sustainability in your hiring process? And so
I don't know if we have. I'll be perfectly honest. We may ask some of those questions. It may boil down to the position. I'm not saying that every position necessarily. There are some positions where it's probably more important to ask those questions than others. But again, we have a new HR director this year, so I can ask Allie again. It's been a long time since I've been interviewed, so I can ask him and see and find out. So.
I don't see.
I think Deb had something. So.
Well, I had a couple of comments on Lisa's question about carbon emissions. When we did the green ribbon applications, there's a simple calculation that you can do to convert from energy savings to carbon savings, and we did that. And so if you've got your energy savings, that calculation could easily be done. If no one's doing it currently. As far as, would they say Eau Claire? Madison was the first school district in the state to get a resolution passed through their school board. Eau Claire was second, and then Green Bay is the more recent one. And then we're hoping Middleton will be the fourth one to get that. But as far as some of the other sustainability features in the other schools, like Cromery is 100% LED lighting. That's amazing too. Hopefully this Pope Farm, that school is LED, all LED lighting. Is that what's happened, Perry?
Perry? Did we lose Perry?
I think Perry.
Oh, he's typing. He's putting some stuff in.
Okay. So do we have LED? All of the schools have some form of solar panels, I believe. High school heats their water for the swimming pool, hot water. Primary heats hot water with solar. So there's a lot of aspects of sustainability that each of the schools have. But the question I have is when you showed the construction at MHS, I saw a huge view through windows, like the two windows come together at the 90-degree angle. And that's really hard for birds to know that that's a wall versus you can just pass through windows. So is there any plan to do some bird proofing on those windows? You're on mute, Perry.
I said it just as soon as I started talking. So as Deb knows, Clark Street students have been working with UW, is it UW-Madison, Deb? I'm trying to remember which group. That
Madison Audubon.
Madison Audubon Society. Because again, and one of the negatives to all these windows, particularly the real tall ones, is again, it results in birds flying into them more often than not.
Right.
And so whether it's at Cromery or Pope Farm, we have been asking about what we might be able to do, particularly at those places where the windows are already up, whether there's any sort of, so like, and I'll use an internal example, and I don't know, Deb, that this is perfect for the birds, but so the first year we had Cromery, after it was completed, we had put nano walls in. And nano walls are really, they're glass walls for the rooms. And kids were bumping into them because they couldn't, if you're not really paying it 100% attention, they couldn't tell when the window was there, the window door, if you will, versus they were in the hallway. So we added to each of the nano walls just some striping with the Cromery Cougar logo that helped them know, okay, this is a window. And I don't know, I'm not saying that would work exactly with the birds, but we're going to have to find something like that, because I know that it's been discussed. Discussions continue. The cost isn't a concern. It's more about what's the right thing and let's find it once versus doing something that doesn't work and then redoing it again. So I think the hard thing is it's probably going to be more of a reactive measure than a proactive measure. I'm not sure what we can do on the front end. We have to do something though once we get the windows up. So again, those talks continue. And again, I know that I don't think we've done anything yet, but we will get there, I promise. So.
Okay, that sounds good. And one other thing, and that is the district really has a plan in terms of all the schools. They're not all in silos. So when you look at the Green Ribbon Award, it's divided into 3 parts. And the first part is energy conservation. And Neil Bickler was working with all of the schools to get energy efficiency. So it was easy to look at the district for a Green Ribbon Award because all of the schools were in the 90% or higher percentile for Energy Star Awards. In fact, we had a couple of schools that were like 98, 99% out of 100 as they compared to other schools of their size and age across the country. So that was really great. The next pillar was for, what was it called? It's, where you do mindfulness training and wellness, health and wellness. And all of the schools, there's a program for health and wellness. It isn't just by the school, it's by the district. So that's another one. And then the third one is environmental education. And that's a little more individualized throughout each of the schools, how they address that. But 2/3 of the Green Ribbon is district-wide, district policy, which is.
And Deb, I would say, first of all, the silo piece is more one organization to another. I didn't mean to imply that, like, within the district, we aren't trying to think globally, among all 11 schools. So, and you're right about the fact that, like, the Energy Star in the 90s, I think the only time we've had any schools that weren't was Glacier Creek and Cromery just shortly after we finished the construction on those projects, just because there's that lag time sometimes after construction before you start getting back to there. So, but no, I'm talking more, there needs to be more discussion that takes place between the district and the various municipalities about different ways we can collaborate together more. But no, you're right. And I appreciate you going through the different parts of the Green Ribbon Award so everybody understands. And I will say, I believe we're still the only district in the state that actually has a wellness coordinator at the district level. So.
I don't know. I think there's some other ones that have.
There are some other. All I know is every district I ever talked to is envious that we have it and they don't. So.
I thought Greendale had one, but anyway.
Well, okay. They're a regular Green Ribbon recipient too. So.
But nationwide, we are one of 2 districts, I think, that have as many schools with Green Ribbon status as well as the district. Yeah. So that's nationwide, not just Wisconsin. Pretty impressive.
Yeah, especially considering, like I said, we haven't applied in 3 years. So.
That's it, except for just one more comment, going back to sustainability and hiring and questions and hiring practices, just reminding us all that sustainability is achieved through changing a school district's culture, and it would be great to have questions for every hire. So all of this, like we were talking about, it takes all the pieces talking to each other, and we're constantly learning different ways, I think, that you can make your buildings and your use of them more sustainable. And new ideas come up all the time, and the best thing to do is just to keep talking to as many people as possible. Yeah. I want to thank you, Perry. That was wonderful. We really enjoyed your presentation and having this opportunity to talk with you. And again, thank you, Elaina, for being part of all of this. I again apologize for the technical difficulties and at the beginning of this, and I will make sure that I reach out to all the people who had RSVP'd and make sure they know they can watch this recording. And I can promise that next month when we do the Conservancy Day, we will not have these technical difficulties, because I think I figured it out. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks for having us. We appreciate it, everybody.
So much.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Good night, everyone.